they put it at 100 frames per second, and okay, yeah, so the defensive back got there just before the ball arrived. Well, did that really materially hinder the receiver from making the play? And he said Al Riveron, who is the head of officiating, said, if this passes, which it did, they are going to have no choice but to call it by the letter of the law. So if the defensive back gets there early, it's supposed to be pass interference. I totally agree with Zimmer on this one. I think you can look at a play frame by frame, slow motion, and say, oh yeah, there's pass interference. He touched the guy before the ball arrived. I don't like that sort of thing. I think it's got to be more of, all right, let's go back and look at it. Does it seem like he really caused the receiver to be unable to catch the ball? And to me, that should be the standard that's there. There's going to be some level of contact before the ball arrives. And so I think it's going to be really clumsy out of the gate how the officials handle this.
Boy, Zimmer and I are agreeing on a lot these days. I know he's going to be thrilled.
I bet he will. Yeah, it'll be kumbaya for you guys.
Absolutely. I got along with Zimmer at times. At times, I'm sure I've annoyed him. At times, he certainly annoyed me. I do love it when he speaks this way, when he just tells you what he thinks, because he's a smart guy with a ton of experience in the league and usually strong opinions. It's just a question of whether he wants to offer them or not. Let's go to a final.
One more thing I want to get your opinion on. Overtime, there was the proposal that each team should get the ball once, and no matter what happens. Zimmer's feeling is, if you can't stop them on defense, then why do you give your team a chance to get the ball if you weren't able to stop them on defense? Which I kind of agree with, but in my opinion, different teams are built different ways, and it's a philosophy of a coach or the talent that they have on a team, where some teams may not have great defenses, but their offense is great. Now if they don't, if they don't win the toss in overtime, they go down and score, a touchdown. Their offense never gets out on the field. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out with the rules of overtime. But one of the proposals was that there is no coin flip for overtime, and whoever won the coin flip at the start of the game, gets to decide, okay, we want the ball or not, but each team gets the ball once no matter what happens.
Too often these debates get phrased with some idea of fairness or tough-mindedness. This is an entertainment business. And when you go to overtime in a great game and you don't get to see Patrick Mahomes take the field, that's dumb. When you go to overtime in the NFC Championship game and Brett Favre doesn't get to take the field, that's dumb. It also sets up one pass interference call can end the game for you, or can set up the game. It's just the most basic thing. People want to see it, and it is more fair if each team gets the ball once, and it is more of a drama to me. It's more fulfilling to watch it. That's why I want it.
I agree. And as they try to eliminate kickoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we just see, okay, overtime, you get the ball at the 35-yard line. Can you go 65 yards and score? Or if you don't, okay, then the other team gets their chance, either at the 35-yard line or maybe where they stopped your offense. So I tend to agree with you because I see different teams are built. One has a great defense, one might have a great offense, and I don't think it's necessarily fair if you're the team that has a weak defense and that defense is put out on the field. The other team scores a touchdown, but you have a great offense. You might think, okay, we should have a shot to score the touchdown. Under the current rules or last year's rules, you don't have that shot. So I do think that there is a level of fairness to each team getting the ball.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let's get a final thought. Thanks again to BiteSquad.com. to Twill in the Dining Galleria, to Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent Champlin, to our producer Brandon Morton. And again, we have reached a large, dedicated audience. You can advertise with us. Just reach out to me at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. Final thought, Tim.
Well, for sure, Zimmer has been contemplating a lot this offseason. And one of the things that I thought was interesting that he said on Tuesday was, number one, he thinks they have a good team that, they're going to have to draft well, but he still thinks that they have the personnel on their roster, despite not being able to do a ton in free agency, to be competitive. The one thing that he said was, I have to figure out a better way to handle things when we have a successful season, how to do it, how to follow that up the next year. And so, he was thinking about, of course, the 2017 season, they get to the NFC Championship game, and then last year they go 8-7-1. So I don't know what his feelings are on how to approach that, but my guess is he's a guy who loves to, with the players, show them a lot of things that went wrong, even if it was a great season the year before. And maybe he felt like he got a little too soft. I don't know that, but that's just one of the things that kind of was cranking in the back of my mind as he was saying that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. And he did point out, too, in order for me to test this, we have to have a successful season this year. So I'm curious to see how it all pans out with all that he has contemplated this offseason.
Good stuff, Tim. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thanks to Brandon. We will be back next week as the offseason intrigue continues. We'll start looking more toward the specifics of the draft here also in the coming weeks.